Happy New Year, guys. I hope you had a fantastic festive period. I hope by the end of 2023, you hit the majority of your 2023 goals, or at least came pretty close to them. If not, don't worry about it, because in today's video, we're going to be talking about some science-backed studies that have helped people hit their goals. We're going to be looking at how people motivate themselves over the general population and what actual science has found in terms of goal setting and the effectiveness of doing so. I've been scrolling through YouTube recently and I can see that a lot of different Make Money Online channels are trying to rank in the algorithm for, goal setting of 2024 and New Year's resolutions and all this stuff. And I've watched a few of the videos, and although some of them are good, I can see that none of them are really using any science-backed stuff. So that's what I'm hoping to do with this video today. Some of the things I'm going to give you, I already do, and they've helped me tremendously. Other things I need to work on myself. So this is a learning point for both of us as well. So up first, we got a study by Matthews, which happened in 2015. And Matthews essentially got two groups of people who wanted to set goals. And in each of these groups of people, they set goals using a different method. So the first group of people, they set goals just in their head. They thought about the goal, they visualized it. I know in the smma community, which is the community that I'm a part of, or I help a lot of people in that community, I know it's very, very big to mentally set goals and visualize your future, right? So that was the first group of people. The second group of people set their goals by actually writing them down. They made sure to take that additional step and note them down somewhere, right? And they measured after a period of time which of these groups were more likely to have hit their goals. And they found that the group who wrote their goals down were 33% more successful in actually achieving their goals. So there's something which happens, whether it's the increased accountability, whether it's the additional self-awareness that happens when you write something down, helps you achieve that goal by up to 33% more. So quick action step for you. Your goals, which you're gonna be looking at mine in a moment and seeing how I handle the goal setting process, write them down. I use an app called Todoist. Some people use spreadsheets. Other people, use a Word document or just write it down on a piece of paper. I know Grant Cardone, he attributes a lot of his success to writing down his goals every single day when he wakes up, and then every single day before he goes to bed, right? So he writes them down twice a day. So there's definitely something in that which help people actually achieve their goals. Up next, we got a study by Thornton, Robbins, and Rollins, and the study is from 2014. And basically what they talk about in the study is having a cell phone or a mobile phone, if you're in the UK, distracting. So if you think about, you're focusing, you're doing some work, you need to concentrate for an hour, right? But you also want to keep the line open in case somebody contacts you, in case you get an email. So you have your mobile phone next to you. What are the dangers of that? The danger of that is that you're going to pick the mobile phone up and suddenly you're going to start scrolling on Instagram, and then after a while of scrolling on Instagram, you've wasted 30 minutes and you can't get that time back, and then you're really distracted. So what do people usually do? Well, they put their phone on flight mode, they turn it on silent, or they may even turn it off and still keep it next to them, right? Just so it's in reach. What these researchers actually found, that even if the phone is off or on flight mode or silent, it is still using 20% of your brain energy, basically. It is still being a little bit cognitively demanding. And people who did tests, they found that they performed on average 20% worse on the test if their cell phone was next to them but off. Think how crazy that is. I used to have my mobile phone in the same room as me on, and when I think back to those times, those patterns, I wasn't able to concentrate very well, but I never put two and two together. So after a while I started putting it on flight mode, but I still put it next to me, but I would still find myself thinking about it or thinking about reaching over. And apparently this is normal human behavior now. Apparently this is just how people respond when their phone is around them. So what do you do instead? Well, you turn it off, or you put it on flight mode and you put it in a different room. I would even go as far as to putting it in a drawer, right? I now turn mine off and stick it in my house somewhere else, so it's out of reach and also out of mind. and I notice a massive difference. It almost cuts that little habit of me wanting to reach for it, and I don't think about it anymore. And I can find that I can just think a little bit more clearly when I'm actually doing my work. So if you're wanting to hit your goals this year, put your phone in a different room. Turn it on flight mode, turn it off. It's actually measured by science. So up next we have Ku and Fischbach, who did a study in 2008, and they did a study named the Small Area Hypothesis Effects on Progress Making on Goal Adherence. What on earth does that mean? Well, basically it means that if you track your progress towards a goal, it is actually far more motivating and people tend to stick to it more. Now, there is a caveat to this and it gets a little bit confusing, so let me draw it out for you. Picture you are on a video game, and on the video game, you are level 1 currently, and you are trying to get to level 2, right? Easy enough. You've got this progress bar, and the more things and actions you do on the video game, the more XP you get, right? The closer you get to level 2, right? So, you know, maybe you've only just started on level 1, you do a few actions and you get to like, 20% into level 2 there, right? They've basically found that if you are below the midway point here, so below the midway point, if you say that you have made 10% or 20% or 30% of progress towards level 2, it is more motivating rather than saying, I've got 90% left to go to get to level 2. If you count the small wins that you've made on the way to level 2 below the midway point, it is actually more motivating for you and people tend to stick to it more. So for instance, I would say I've made 10% of progress towards level 2 rather than saying I've made 90%, I've got 90% remaining. However, once you get to the midway point here, over the midway point, it becomes a little bit demotivating to say I'm 60% the way towards my goal. Instead, what you should say is I have 40% remaining of my goal to go. So this part here is remaining. This is very hard to write. Remaining. And this part here is progress made. Progress made. So if you frame the progress you've made or the progress remaining in each of those ways, depending on whether you're before or after the midpoint towards the goal, it's far more motivating. Hopefully that made sense. But I remember when I first saw that study, I was a little bit like, what are these guys talking about? But it's very, very important that you have the little measures of progress towards the goal or the progress remaining. And it's also important that you have the milestones as well. Next, we've got Ottingen and Mayer in 2002. And what they explored was whether positive visualization of the goal helped people actually achieve a goal. So coming back to the SMMA community, I took Sam Oven's course in, 2017, 2018. And a big part of that was the mindset section. And there's all these courses which have come about afterwards, which are all like, you need to improve your mindset. And they basically list exactly the same techniques out as Sam Ovens once did of, positive visualization, make this character of self, type this massive Word document of describing your future self, right? And loads of them have copied this approach. Now, the science here in 2002 of where they explored this and the effectiveness of it. And they basically found that indulging in positive fantasies actually was counterproductive to achieving the goal. And the reason why is when people indulged in them too much, it created a relaxed state with no sense of urgency, no sense of, scarcity of the goal either. And urgency and scarcity are two big cognitive bias drivers which encourage people to take human behavior, encourage people to, motivate them towards some sort of outcome, right? And because of this, people were too relaxed and didn't really end up achieving the goal. However, if you use a positive fantasy and have realistic planning and action steps in there, it actually becomes even more so that you're going to achieve that goal. So for instance, if I just sit here, I've written down my goal, which is going to give me a 33% increase that I'm actually going to achieve that goal. And then I just mentally visualize it. I've pretended I've already got it. I've got this positive fantasy of where I'm going to get it. It's actually going to put me in a relaxed state, which is great for my mental health, but it's actually it's counterproductive for me achieving my goal. Instead, what I could do is actually write it down like I did the first time, and then work out what milestones I need to achieve to accomplish that goal. So what actual, realistic planning and action steps I should be doing to get to that. That is actually way more effective than just positively imagining this future, because it doesn't get me in that relaxed state. It gets me in a realistic state instead of an action-based state, okay? Very, very important, because there's so much misinformation around this, guys, but like some of these things are actually studied and they're actually ineffective. And it's quite sad for me to scroll online and see people writing these things which don't have any actual scientific basis at all. And I'm a numbers, I'm a science guy, and I do think there's, a little bit of, goodness that comes out of some of the things that people say online, because it gives you this conviction that certain things will work, if you know what I mean. So I do think there's a good side to it, but I still prefer to go with the side which has got proven results, right? Okay, so the final one is impact of group goal setting on individual performance. And this is by Latham and Sajit in 1999. And basically what they did is they set goals as a group, and they found that their individual performances improved when they set goals as a group. So what does this mean? This means that they're being held accountable by others in a group. I have a friend, his name's Herbert Gerzer, and he runs a successful advert agency. And we met up about 3 years ago because we were looking for accountability buddies. And now when we set goals, we set them together on a group session, right? And then we go off and achieve our goals. And just that tiny thing of setting those goals together helps us actually achieve our goals, because it holds us accountable. Because I know I'm going to have to turn up the next session, and I know I'm going to have to be like, well, I didn't do anything this week, right? And that's kind of makes me feel a little bit insecure. So some of these negative emotions, people run from negative emotions these days, but like some of these negative emotions and the avoidance of them are actually positive for the achievement that you want to do. I've achieved great things and things that I didn't think were possible when I was feeling my most insecure, if that makes sense. And the final part of this video, I'm going to be showing you a little bit of my Todoist tracker so you can see how I've implemented some of these things. I use Todoist. I think it's a brilliant tool. I don't even have the paid version. I just use the free version. I recommend you download it as well. Okay, so I have a few different goal projects on the side here, and this is how I set things out. The people who tell you that you should just be focusing on one thing at a time, I think that's true, but I think you should be integrating the other areas into your life as well. So, good example. I went to a party the other day with a bunch of entrepreneurs. It was a Christmas party, and they've all made a bunch of money. A huge bunch of money, right? And they all got really drunk, and they all started doing press-ups at the end, right? I don't know, we were just having a good laugh, right? And they were doing push-ups on the floor, and the most any of these guys could do, and there was a lot of them, was 8 push-ups, right? And they were like, Rob, you get down, you try it as well. So I did some, blitzed them all, right? And I'm not saying that to brag. What I'm saying is that these guys have focused on money so much that they forgot about their health. You should be integrating your health into your life. So you have to eat every day. You have to sleep every day. You should be exercising every day. So you should do these things in a way, right? You should integrate it in a healthy aspect. When you eat, don't eat the processed food, eat the good for you food. Eat the, high protein, natural foods, right? Don't go for the processed stuff. When you sleep, you should make an effort to stay off your phone and actually get to bed at a reasonable time, right? And that I kind of struggle with a little bit, getting to bed at a reasonable time, although I'm much better these days than I used to be. And I track my sleep. I have an Aura ring here. I track my sleep, and I do pretty well when it comes to sleep compared to what I usually do. And I can usually hit somewhere between 80, right? 80 and 85, which is, pretty good, right? And I On my lunch every single day, I go to the gym. It doesn't matter what I'm doing. If I can't make it to the gym, there is something out of balance in my life. And I train, and like, this is my physique now, right? So it worked, okay? And I've been doing that same thing for years, just eating consistently, eating healthy food consistently, sleeping consistently. And I'm not saying this to brag. What I'm saying is I've built up those positive habits of doing that. And the entrepreneurs who are like, forget everything, just focus on making money. We're all going to die one day, man. And like, you need to take care of your health as well. So I make sure that I've got my health down here and my goals for it. And they're just some basic goals that I've written out, some actionable steps. Cut out sugar, go to bed at 10 p.m. or earlier. And I have an objective for the whole section here to be very lean for my holiday. Right. So we moved on to the wealth page here. So this is making money. So at the top here, we have increased private consulting client base by 4 in the next 2 months, currently at 4. Last year, actually the year before, I had to readjust my business because my mum basically got very, very sick. And so I have to spend additional time with her, right? So I couldn't do some of the things I wanted to do. I had to basically streamline everything I was doing. And a good way to do this was to minimize lots and lots of lower ticket clients. I say lower tickets, they're still paying me good money, but like lower ticket clients, and focus on private consulting clients who run B2B, businesses, big businesses, right? So currently at 4 of those, and I consult for them, right? And they pay me good money, and I want to get an additional 4 in the next 2 months. So it's specific, it's measured, and I know exactly what I've got to aim for. And I'm currently at the 50% point. So I know that because I've got 4 already, 4 current clients. So I know that I've got 50% remaining now of the goal that I need to do, right? The next one, as some of you know, I've built up an app over the last year. It's a loom automation app. And my goal for this is to build up remember, I'm writing down my goals here, guys. Like, it's this science that I'm using to build up my income from my app to £10,000 per month, to get 100 users of my app paying me $150 a month. So currently the lowest price of this app is $150, somewhere around there, right? So I'm currently at 60 users. So I know that I've got 40% remaining to get towards my goal. So I have 40 people remaining now. Remember, I'm not going to say I'm currently at 60 and I've made 60% progress. I'm going to say I've got 40 people remaining to get to my goal now. So it motivates me to know that the finish line is just pretty close, right? I've also got one for my YouTube brand here, to build up my brand to 10,000 subscribers, providing the most helpful content ever, funny, entertaining, filled with valuable nuggets and life-changing advice. On YouTube, I've written this down because I need to work on it. On my YouTube videos, I've watched them back, and I am not funny or entertaining whatsoever. I think I've got good nuggets in there, and I think I've got science-backed things as well, and I think I actually show people what I'm doing, which is what they appreciate. But if you follow me on Instagram, at the Rob Lally, you will see my Instagram stories, and you will see that actually I'm constantly around people, I'm constantly joking around, and I'm constantly very, very, just lighthearted with life. And in my YouTube videos, I've watched it back, and I've edited some of them, and it just does not come across like this. And I don't know what it is. Don't know if it's because I'm just a bit uncomfortable with the camera, or I think what it is it lacks the human conversation, and I need humans to speak to actually bring that personality side out of me. But it's hard when I'm just speaking to a camera because I'm not getting anything back. I'm actually a listener. Even though I'm extroverted, I actually mainly listen, right? Listen to other people and then respond accordingly. But in this, it's actually very difficult to have some sort of personality. So I want to try and bring a little bit more of that out. I'm not really sure how I can do it. I think I'm going to commentate on some stuff, which might help. I'm going to try that for a little while. But basically, I need to be more entertaining. I've got huge groups of friends, probably because a part of it's down to my personality, because I'm like a fun guy, right? I'm always like joking around, but I just don't do it in this content here. I'm like super stiff. I don't know where to look, and like I just feeling so uncomfortable. I need to get out of that because like I wouldn't watch some of this content, right? So I'm so boring. All right, enough of that anyway. Okay. So we've got some more things down here as well. We've also got a social life tracker as well. I have a great social life. I have a great social life because I maintain it and I build it at all times. I had so many invites over Christmas to do things with different people. The entrepreneur advice that I see on TikTok Reels and on Instagram Reels of lock yourself away in a room and just focus on yourself, blah, 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 is the worst advice. Humans are social creatures and you're going to get lonely. I got lonely trying to follow this advice years ago. And I felt terrible. My work output went as well. So you need to actually focus on doing things with people. I've hit loads of different goals in this area, but I've got build and maintain a rich, diverse and fulfilling social life that aligns with personal interests and values while improving social skills and self-confidence. That is my like one-liner of what my aim is to do. So anything that fits into that is a good goal, right? It's like my vision, that is, right? So one of my focuses this year is to round up family, host a get-together. I don't really speak to much of my family, to be honest with you. They've all fell out with each other. You know what families are like, right? And I'm like, I should get them all together because they, really like each other and they're very social. And I think there's a lot of value in family. That's all that really matters at the end of the day, right? Family and friends. And I need to do that. I have 4 WhatsApp groups. I have 3 at the moment of different people with different social events. 2 I've set up with different groups, right? And then host a charity event. Host a charity event is something where I can get my family and friends together and we can go out and we can do this good cause as well. And that's just something that I want to do there. So that is my goals of health, wealth, and social. And I recommend you set your goals up like this as well, using this science-backed data that I've provided with in this video. So there you go, guys. That is how you should be setting goals for 2024, using science, using data. It's hard to cut through the noise, particularly on YouTube, particularly when there's lots and lots of videos on how you should goal set, and lots of these are big audiences, so naturally they get shown to you because it always floats to the top, the people with like the huge audiences. But a lot of what they're saying hasn't actually got evidence or science-backed stuff in it. But this has, right? And it's helped me tremendously before for the little things I have implemented. And you should definitely try to implement some of this stuff yourself. If this helped you, this video, please subscribe. Please like the video as well. And, take care. See you in the next one. Leave me a comment below. Take it easy.